Hi, EDN 301 class. My name is Victoria Jones. I have to first apologize because I am not feeling well and my voice is completely betraying me. I was trying to wait for it to come back to do this, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen in time. So, a little bit about my presentation and how it's going to flow. I will be in student mode for this class to discuss the standards, the learning goals, and the learning context and kind of a summary of this lesson. And then I will go into teacher mode for the anticipatory set. That'll be when I open up the PowerPoint and actually start going through it. And then I will shift back into student mode after the anticipatory set and discuss how the rest of the lesson would go. So the standards are addressed for this lesson on weather are 5th grade. It's 5.E.1. The standard is to understand weather patterns and phenomena, making connections to the weather in a particular place and time. The learning goals, there are 2. The learner will be able to define weather and a weather pattern, and the learner will make observations about weather and record qualitative and quantitative data about weather. The students will need their science notebooks, internet access for the slideshow, outdoor access for a weather walk, thermometers, a weather vane or sock, a rain gauge, the weather worksheet for independent practice, and of course the exit ticket that we will do at the end. As far as the learning context, there is a weather unit that should be addressed in the 2nd grade. So students are going to come in with some ideas about weather, maybe some accurate knowledge, maybe some misconceptions, but kind of by starting out with this anticipatory set, you can kind of see where their knowledge is. So prior to ever doing this lesson, I would have prepared my materials as well as a KWL chart. The K in KWL stands for know, the W for wonder, and the L for learn. And we will be filling some of that out through the anticipatory set and then the rest of it after the explore portion is complete. So after this lesson, we would begin to talk about comparing weather data over time. And prior to this lesson, we would have been looking at defining weather patterns, when weather remains consistent for days or weeks at a time, and how those patterns compare to each other over time and exactly what that means. We'd also be looking at daily weather conditions and how they compare to each other, and how the beginning or end of a season may have more drastic changes than maybe a day in the middle of the season. So I'm going to start my anticipatory set now. Again, I apologize for my voice, but here we go. Today we are going to be talking about weather. What is weather? I want you to close your eyes and visualize your perfect day. I'm going to give everybody a few moments to close your eyes and visualize your perfect day. Is it sunny? Is it warm? Is it rainy or cold? Is it snowing? Is it cloudy? Keep your eyes closed and think about your perfect day in terms of weather. I would like a few of you to share. And thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate that. And I love the days that you described. I like sunny days and cloudy days as well. Now that you guys have told me about your perfect day, I would like for you to think of 2 weather words to describe the weather we are having today. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, I'm going to ask a couple of you to share. Go ahead. Student A. Yeah, those are great words. Very good. And student B. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. Now that you've told me about your perfect day and you've told me about today, now I want us to talk about what we already know about weather. Go ahead and fill out your sticky note with one thing that you already know about weather. We know that the weather changes. We know that thermometers tell us the temperature outside. And we know that weather is different in different places. What can you think of different from these three things that you already know about weather? I would like for you to write that on your sticky note and put your pencil down when you're done so I'll know that we are all finished. Okay, now that we're all done, I'm going to ask us to put the things that we already know underneath the K on our KWL chart because those are the things that we know. So, all of you come on up and we'll put our sticky notes under the K on the KWL chart and then I'm going to read them. So now that we've all put them up here, I'm going to go through and read some of them and we will discuss. Today, we're going to be learning lots of new things about weather. What do we wonder about weather? On your sticky note now, I want you to write something that you wonder or that you would like to know about weather. When you're done, come on up and put it underneath the W on our KWL chart. Thank you so much. I wondered some of those things too, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. Now that we know what we know, and we know what we want to know, let's go find out. The way we're going to find out is to do a weather walk. I know that you guys love field trips, so today we're going to take a walk outside. There will be 3 stations outside, one where we will collect quantitative data, one where we will collect qualitative data, and C is a station. Station C is where you can show me what you learned. We are going to take our science notebooks out with us so you can record all of your observations as we go. And when we are ready, we're going to go ahead and go outside. Okay, this is where I will be shifting back into student mode. At this point, the students will gather their science notebooks and pencils and we will start heading outside. The stations would already have been set up and students will be broken up into groups of 3 or 4, kind of depending on the stations that we have available. Students can be in groups of up to 4 or 6. It just really depends on how many stations you have and how many students you have, and they will have 7 to 10 minutes at each station. Station 1, as I told them, will be the qualitative observation station. At this station, the students will find a place to sit by themselves and have a seat on the grass. From this position, the students will be asked to make qualitative observations about the weather using their 5 senses. At the start of each station, I will review that they should be using their eyes, their ears, their nose, their mouth, and their hands to make observations about the weather in this station. They will record their observations at this station in their weather notebook. Station 2 is quantitative. This station, the students will work with a partner to use a thermometer to determine the temperature outside, as well as view the rain gauge to determine the rainfall that we have had recently. The students in this station will also view the wind vane and sock and make observations as to whether or not it's blowing and whether or not it's blowing at medium, low, or high speed. Of course, they'll make their observations in their science notebooks for this as well and record what temperature it is. Station 3 is actually a chart station. This is the show me what you know. In this, the students will be drawing a simple table like the one below, and I'll show you guys that when we get back to the PowerPoint. But it basically lists the date, temperature, rainfall, wind direction, and wind speed. And then the other side is for their information. So after all the students have had a chance to kind of rotate through all the stations, we will go back upstairs into the classroom and then we will discuss what they observed. At that time, we'll be looking at this slide here and we'll fill that out all together. And my questions for them would be, did everyone observe the same temperature? Why or why not? They all should have about the same temperature, about the same rainfall, but they may not have the same wind speed or direction depending on the day. And that would be a good time to discuss how wind speed and direction can change very quickly. We would also take the time to discuss what all of it means. And this is where we would discuss that kind of based on what we observed. How can we define weather and coming up with a definition of weather together? Weather is a pattern of something, or after that we would be discussing weather patterns if I found that they were ready to do that. And then the extension would be talking about seasons. Then students would move into independent practice. There's a worksheet that they would be working on kind of to fill that out and going through and making sure that they understand exactly what weather is and what different seasons indicate. And then for our closure, we would have this exit ticket here. This would be a final formative assessment, and students would just write these on notebook paper. 1, what is weather? And 2, what is the difference between weather and a weather pattern? Bonus question is, what do we fancy humans call weather patterns that go on for months at a time and repeat every year? So the bonus question, of course, would be seasons. The difference between weather and weather patterns would be something that we had gone over in the lesson, and of course number 1 as well. So that would be my lesson on weather to the 5th grade. Again, I apologize for my voice. I'm so sorry that you guys had to listen to the raspy. But I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want any of my resources, I'll be more than happy to send them to you. Brain Pop is a really great resource for this as well. And in a different lesson on weather, I did use that. So thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure working with everyone. And you all have a wonderful night.